tried to make this video a million times, but it's hard to talk about. It's painful to think about the ways that these amazing animals have been mistreated by humans. The answer of can you have a macaw in your house is yes, legally in most places. The question of should you is an entirely different one. There are practical concerns, like they're really, really expensive to take care of. They need a lot of space. They're quite loud. And they eat a lot. They're very messy. They just need you so much. They want to spend a lot of time with you. They're behaviorally complex, as you can see. That's what's he doing under there? And building relationships with them is also like its own can of worms. Like it's not like working with a cat or a dog. They're not mammals. They are prey animals. They have like an entirely different way of relating to the world, and becoming in tune with that is its own challenge, but also its own reward. I didn't choose to add a macaw to my life until I had a really stable job that is work from home. I had enough money to take care of him. I have a house that I can feel pretty confident that I'm going to be living in for a really long time. And I also am at a point in my life where my partner and I could both agree that we can take on this really large animal that has a lot of needs that's probably going to be with us for the rest of our lives, depending on how old he is. He could be very old, around 30,000 years old. Now, I work in wildlife conservation. That's my job. So I spend a lot of time thinking about like the well-being of animals and the exotic animal trade. I think Gecko Emmy and Zeb from Blue Planet Pets have like really good and nuanced answers to this question of the degree to which it's ethical to have these animals in our houses. And I think there are a couple of ways to approach this. So we know that animals that are a part of the exotic animal trade are often abused. Their quality of life is very, very poor. Their health is poor. They're just not having a good time. The trade itself that involves like poaching animals and smuggling them across borders and stuff, like just to feed people's desire to own and like have these creatures in their home, is abhorrent and bad, and it sucks for the environment, and it causes species extinction, and it's bad for the animals themselves. And then animals that have a hard life don't end up it's more difficult to have them be really good companions to you because they have trauma that the average person is not really equipped to help deal with. Oh, you look so pretty in the sun, bud. You're just so handsome. So when you find a bird at a bird store and you don't know where they came from, generally the overwhelming likelihood is that this is an animal that came from an unethical industry. That's what's most likely. However, I really believe that humans and animals can enrich each other's lives, and we can mutually benefit from being friends with each other. The fact remains that parrots are the third most popular pet in the United States, and also the number one most often rehomed pet, because they're just really difficult to handle, and they're really emotionally and behaviorally complex and financially complex. But that complexity can also just be really, really nourishing. It can change the way that you relate to the world. Like I got this house specifically because I knew I wanted a large bird, and I was like ready to take care of a large bird in my life and in my house. And when they're receiving good care, like a high quality of care, their lifespans in captivity can exceed their lifespans in the wild by like 20 or 30 years. Because they don't have to worry about predators. They don't have to hunt for food. They're not like struggling for survival. And they are in sort of like a safe, loving place where their health is constantly being monitored, and they're benefiting from fresh, nutritious food every day. I mean, if you're taking good care of them and feeding them right. So when it comes to large exotics like this, you have to be reasonably certain that the quality of life that you could provide the animal is either on par with or better than what they would receive were they in the wild. Which for apes, no. Are you kidding? No. But for these little guys, I work my butt off to make sure that they are like as happy and enriched and fulfilled. They exercise, they fly, they go on trips, they go outside. I think like the main thing is we know that these animals are in human care. They can't be released. And they're here. They're a part of our world. They're a part of our culture. And there's like all of these individuals that need love and care. The breeding of parrots is a question that I don't really feel that qualified to speak on. What I can say is like I really appreciated learning. So Nietzsche, this Amazon, came from a place that was a rescue where his two parents were breeder birds. One of them was a wild caught animal, and the pair of them, the male and female, were being used to like churn out eggs that this unethical company could sell. Then like they were rescued, but separating them and stopping them from breeding was determined to be not a great idea for the well-being of those individuals, so they were allowed to produce one baby a year, and that's where Nietzsche came from. Oscar, though, we have no idea. I don't know where he came from. But he is really, really, really receptive to being loved. He really, really wants this, and he's really benefiting from living in my house. And I'm benefiting from having him in my house because I love him so much, you know? So, like, you know, you want an organic, ethically sourced parrot. I would like, you know, buying a baby bird from a breeder, just ask yourself whether the animals are having a good quality of life, and then also know how long they live and think about like how the conditions under which a market for these animals can be created relies on, you know, people buying baby birds. I think generally you just have to believe that you are going to be as good for them as they are for you. And you have to work to make that be true. I think that is what I would say. For me, it is like so worth it. But I'll probably never have more than 2 birds. Watch me in like 3 years regret that sentence.